All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I get any on YouTube, this call is officially being recorded. Today, we're going to go over what it is like to improve your eating habits or keep eating habits that you know that you can build upon here for the next 6 weeks or so, right? Habits is going to be the key to this one. We need to make sure that we're making habits that we know that we are able to keep that are going to be successful to us. Big thing that I was hitting on while we were doing the orientation for the challenge was this is not one of those 6-week challenges, right, where we're trying to crash and eat as little calories as we possibly can, right, and lose as much weight as we possibly can, right? I want you ladies to get away from that frame of mind. It's not about the weight. It's about making sure that we're burning or losing the correct or from the correct place, right? In this case, being from our fat stores as opposed to musculoskeletal structure stores, right? So keeping that in mind, habits are going to be a key to making sure that we are ensuring that we're burning, again, from that fat and not from those muscles, all right? So when it comes to eating, we have strong habits. Some of them are good, right? Like eating breakfast. Again, some of them are good, like making sure that we're eating breakfast. Eating breakfast. Make sure you guys are eating breakfast, all right? And then some of them are bad or not so good, like I always end up asking for a second plate, right? Probably not the best habit there, although I'm pretty guilty of that one, right? So that being said, although many of our habits or our eating habits are established during childhood, it doesn't mean that it's too late to change them, right? So we're not going to change them in 6 weeks. What we're trying to do is build habits that we know are going to be successful for us for the 6 weeks that we can then keep as we are moving further, right? So again, don't think of a habit as something that you're going to build for a 6-week challenge. Think of it as something that you are going to use for after the 6 weeks even, right? As something that you know that you're able to keep, which, as you guys have noticed, some of those calorie counts are not those crash calorie counts that you guys were used to or were looking for, right? So having a little bit more food for you to get yourself into there is gonna pay dividends in the long run, as opposed to crash dieting and starving you guys, which in the end doesn't work. All right. So making sudden radical changes to eating habits, such as eating nothing but cabbage soup, can lead to short-term weight loss, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about, what we're trying to stay away from. However, such radical changes are neither healthy nor a good idea and won't successfully work in the long run. Permanently improving your eating habits requires a thoughtful approach in which you reflect, replace, and reinforce. All right. So reflect on all your specific eating habits, both bad and good, and your common triggers for your unhealthy eating. You have to be honest with yourself, right? You got to be able to think to yourself and think back, hey, this habit or this little thing that I have going on is not the best for me. I have to be able to identify that, which is the easy part, right? Identifying that we're doing something bad is not a hard thing to do. We all know what or when that is, right? But being honest with yourself and admitting that you have that trigger, right? That is the hard part, right? So once you identify, you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, this is something that I do that's bad. I need to stop this, right? So how do I stop this? You stop this by replacing your unhealthy eating habits with something that's going to be a healthier one, right? And we'll get into that a little bit more later. And then you reinforce your healthy eating habits by having the scale move in the right direction, by looking in the mirror and feeling better, right? So it's tiers. None of it is going to happen or start, though, until you reflect with yourself and you're able to tell yourself, okay, this isn't the healthiest thing that I'm doing. I admit it to myself. I understand that this is what I'm doing. I need to stop this. And then you can move on down the line, right? If you do not start there, it's never going to happen, right? So you got to start at reflecting, and you got to start at understanding that you have to be okay with understanding that you're doing something wrong in the first place, right? So create a list of your eating habits, right? Why do you eat, right? I want you guys to take a little bit of time today or tomorrow or whenever you know you have a little bit of extra time with your meals, right? Sit down take a sheet of paper and write down why I just ate. Why did I just eat what I just ate, right? Do that exercise. You're going to be surprised as to some of the answers that you come up with, right? Sometimes it's going to be like, because it's my time to eat. This is what time I said I was going to eat. You know, sometimes it's going to be because, you know what? I don't feel good today. I'm sad. It wasn't something that was scheduled. Something is going on, right? It's going to be like this triggered that, or, you know, not right now, but in other occasions, it might be like, hey, I'm hanging out with people. That's why I ate, not because it was scheduled for me, not because I needed it as fuel, but why did you take that piece of food and stick it in your mouth, right? The reason why that's a good exercise is because we never think about why we're eating, right? It becomes second nature, right? Just like an addict. You have a craving, you go get it, and then you're done with it, right? But why did that craving arise in the first place? You got to ask yourself that, right? Because it's going to give you the answer as to why you are making the unhealthy decisions or healthy decisions, one way or the other, right? Either way is good. At least you know one way or the other. It's going to make you understand as to why you're making a decision to put that in your mouth at that time. Believe it or not, that is really, really important stuff, because we don't think about it, right? We just react when it comes to food. So we got to stay away from that. And we got to think of food as fuel, as going to the gas station, right? You go to the gas station, you take the gas pump out, you put 91 fuel in your tank, right? That's what you want in your tank. You don't just go to the gas station and fill up and don't even know what kind of fuel or how much fuel you're putting in your body, right? So creating a list and asking yourself why I just ate is a good way to go about that, right? So, for example, you might discover that you always seek a sweet snack to get you through the mid-afternoon energy slump. That is a big one right there. Big one. Let me tell you guys, that's a lie. It's not true. You do not need that food to get through the day. It's a lie. Your body's lying to you, right? What happened is you ate something that you weren't supposed to eat, and your glycogen went like this through the roof, and now it's crashing. So just like any other addict with any other drug, your body's asking you for food, right? You do not need that mid-morning full of carbohydrate snack and that giant thing of Starbucks full of sugar, right? You don't need it, Lori. I promise you, you don't need it. You don't need that stuff, man. You have to be able to be okay with being uncomfortable within yourself and saying no, right? If you make the mistake of making that huge carbohydrate meal, part of your day, you are going to have to say no in about 2 to 3 hours. I think I spoke about this last time as well, right? Whether you say no again is going to separate you, or is going to separate a good day from a bad day, right? Because you can make a mistake once and get away with it all day. Not a big deal, right? But you have to understand that it's not just that mistake there. It's going to be what's coming 2 to 3 hours later, and that's that glycogen crash that's going to ask you for more food. That's going to separate success from failure. Can I say no when that comes back around, right? So that, again, is a big reason to understand why you are eating, right? So if you write it down and you're like, man, I just really needed a snack because I was really tired, and you're looking at it on your piece of paper, you can very, very coherently tell yourself that the next 2 or 3 hours are going to be a battle, right? And you're at war, and your body's going to be asking you for something that you don't need, and you have to be able to say no. Does that make sense? All right, moving on. Okay, so use this diary. See. Yeah, so just figure out what you're feeling when you're eating, right? Was I stressed out? Was I tired? Was I happy? Was I sad? Was it time to eat? What was your feeling when that happened, right? It sounds weird. It really does. Jot that stuff down, man. You're going to learn a lot about why you are eating, which is super important, right? And then highlight the habits on your list that may be leading you to overeat, or highlight the ones that might be leading you to overeat. Common eating habits that can lead to weight gain are eating too fast. I'll go back up to that one here after I read this list. Always cleaning your plate, eating when not hungry, eating while standing up may lead to eating mindlessly or too quickly, believe it or not. Sit your butt down when you eat. It really does make a huge difference with the way your stomach and your gut and the way your body thinks it's full. And then skipping meals, right? If you are skipping meals, especially breakfast, right? No big deal. I don't have any time for breakfast today. I got to get to work. I got important company stuff to do. I got to get some product out today. I'm not eating breakfast, right? Do not do that. That should be the most important meal of the day. Now, that doesn't mean eat at 5 o'clock before your 5:15 a.m. session, right? Definitely doesn't mean that. But you get your stuff in, you get done, and once you get done, you make sure that you're feeding your body, right? Breakfast starts your metabolism for the day, right? So you got two choices. You wake up, your metabolism's here. You can either eat breakfast and bump your metabolism up and burn a few hundred more calories throughout the day, or you can not eat breakfast, bump it down and burn a couple less hundred calories throughout the day. That can be the difference between an extra 400 to 500 calories throughout the entire day, right? Now, on top of that, it's not just the calories, but it's also what happens. If you don't eat breakfast, your body goes into what's called starvation mode, and then you do not burn any fat, right? Your body holds on to that stuff. It doesn't know when it's going to get fed, right? Your body's just a big science project. That's all it is. It doesn't care about how you look, what you want it to look, what you want going on. If you do not feed your body in the morning, your body's going to shut down, and it's not going to do anything or much of anything until you feed it, right? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Eating too fast. I wanted to go back up to that one because that is my problem. And I'd venture to guess you guys didn't even know that was a problem, right? So what happens is when you eat too fast, the little message that goes up to your brain from your stomach to your brain that tells it that it's full isn't able to communicate quickly enough, and you just continue to eat. So you eat past where you thought you were going to be full, and you eat until your stomach is able to keep up and able to send that message up to your brain, right? So if you're really, really hungry and you're just chowing down that food, right, what's going to happen is you're going to eat a lot more than you should have eaten, or more than you wanted to eat, because again, that signal from your stomach to your brain wasn't able to travel fast enough, and you weren't able to tell your body that you were full, right? So eating really, really quickly is not a good thing. If you actually take your plate and you are deliberate with the way you're eating, you chew your food, you're not in a 2-minute, I just need to stuff this down my face lunch rush that most of us get into, right? If you take your time, you eat your food, you're going to be full, I promise, right? And you're not going to eat past the point that you wanted to eat, right? If you're eating fast, your body doesn't even know when that point is, right? So look at the unhealthy habits that you've highlighted. Be sure you've identified all the triggers that cause you to engage in those habits. Identify a few that you'd like to work on improving. Don't forget to pat yourself on the back for the things that you are doing right. That is a big thing, right? We're here to pat you on the back. We're here to help you out. We're here to tell you you're doing awesome. I try, if I'm on and I'm not Coach A, I try to tell you, hey, awesome job. I saw you online. You're doing great. I try to do that with every one of you guys that are on my team anyway, right? However, there's going to be no bigger pat on the back than you patting yourself on the back and you believing that and you understanding that, right? I can pat you in the back all you want. If you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to matter, right? So you guys have to be motivated intrinsically as well as from the outside, right? So make sure that you guys are telling yourselves, good job. Hey, good job in not eating that, or good job in building this habit, so on and so forth. It is really, really important, right? So create a list of cues by reviewing your list, by reviewing your food diary to become more aware of when and where you're triggered to eat for reasons that other than hunger. Note how you are typically feeling at those times. Often the environmental cue of a particular emotional state is what encourages eating for non-hunger reasons, right? So again, if you're making your little list and that reason is a non-hunger reason, you need to identify that reason quickly, swiftly, and you have to address it quickly and swiftly so that it doesn't continue to happen, right? So common triggers for eating when you are not hungry: opening up the cabinet and seeing your favorite snack food. That is mine. Sitting at home watching television. That is mine. Before or after a stressful meeting or situation at work. The opposite with that one, I don't eat. But if you're stressed out of work, some people might get a little handsy with the food, right? So be able to identify that, especially you professional young ladies that are still out there busting your butts. If you get stressed, don't eat. Do something more constructive, like yell at your boss or something, all right? Having someone offer you a dish they made just for you right now, probably not too much of a problem. Having someone offer you, okay, walking past a candy dish on the counter, get rid of all that stuff. We told you guys and went over that a few weeks ago. Seeing a plate of donuts at the morning staff meeting. Again, probably not a problem, but it might become a problem here pretty soon in a couple weeks, right? Swinging through your favorite drive-through every morning, that one is a problem and still is a problem and will always continue to be a problem because it's easier to swing by the McDonald's driving or drive-through than it is to actually cook a good breakfast, right? So, you know, making sure that you're eating your breakfast doesn't mean swing by the McDonald's breakfast line because it's the easy one, right? It means get your butt up a little early and make sure that you're eating your food and it's in good quantities, right? Circle the cues on your list that you face on a daily or weekly basis. See, while the Thanksgiving holiday might be a trigger to overeat, for now focus on cues and you face more often. So eventually you want to plan for as many eating cues as you can. Ask yourself these questions. Is there anything I can do to avoid this cue or this situation, right? Are you putting yourself in that situation? If you are, then you have control over that cue. And you have to be able to identify that and then move forward from there, right? This option works best for cues that don't involve others. For example, you could choose a different route to walk to work to avoid stopping at the fast food restaurant. Is there another place in the break room where you can sit where you are not next to the vending machine? Things like that. For things I can't avoid, can I do something differently that would be healthier? Obviously, you can't avoid all situations that trigger your unhealthy eating habits, like staff meetings at work, so on and so forth. In these situations, identify and evaluate your options. Could you suggest or bring healthier snacks and beverages with you, right? Could you offer to take notes to distract your attention? Could you sit further away from the food so it won't be as easy for you to grab something? Could you plan ahead and eat something healthy and a snack before your meeting, right? If you are full, if you go to work and you've eaten your breakfast, and you have all those calories in your belly, you're not going to make the mistakes that you would make if, once again, you didn't create the habit of eating your breakfast and then going to work with your belly full, right? So all that being said, right, apart from that lesson, the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to take, and I'm not sure if any of you guys are guilty. I think I know pretty much everybody who is in the non-breakfast crew, right? But if the shoe fits, you got to take that shoe off, right? The biggest thing that you can do for yourself and the biggest habit that you can create moving forward is making sure that you're eating breakfast and eating the right kind of breakfast in the right quantities, right? Other than that, though, there's also cues that you can take throughout the day, like making sure that you don't have that plate of food or that, I'm sorry, but again, I'm going to hit on this one a lot, that giant plate of whatever fruit you want to call it, right? That's just there for you to grab it, right? Again, get rid of that stuff in your environment. If it's planned and it's around your workout and you want to have a little bit of sugar, not a big deal, right? But if you're looking at it and it's 8 o'clock at night and it just looks tasty and yummy, you have to learn to say no, or you have to get rid of it from your environment in the first place. Does that make sense? All right. So this is the part where you guys ask your questions. All right, you guys are live. Ask away, ladies. I know you got questions. I got answers.
My issue is I don't eat enough most of the time.
So
I know it sounds funny being a big girl, but I think that's what my problem's been for years.
It's not funny. Here, and I've gotten a lot of, I wouldn't say pushback, but a lot of inquiring about why calories are as high as calories are, right? So let me go ahead and mute you guys while I answer this question, and I'll mute you off. So why are calories as high as they are? If that's not the case for you, let us know for sure. I know there was a couple of you guys that maybe there was, you know, a little bit back and forth going with your numbers there. However, your numbers should not be harshly uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, you should look at them and maybe should say, that's a lot more food than I'm used to, right? A lot of the problem here, specifically in the United States of America, I've seen statistics on this as well, right? A giant problem is us not eating enough or enough of the right things in the right quantities, right? We are famous for being that society that doesn't eat breakfast, has drive-through lunch, and then just eats dinner like it's the end of the world because we're hanging out with our family. That's our time to interact. Dinner's more of a social function than a I'm going to put fuel in my body function, right? And I'm sure you guys are very, very aware of that, right? We have to change that mindset as well. We have to change that habit as well. You have to eat enough, right? Again, if you do not eat enough, so there's this thing called your basic metabolic rate, right? Or your BMR, or it's sometimes called an RMR as well, right? So that's how many calories your body burns. Just being alive is the key. So when you guys take your in-body, you see that calorie number off to the right, and it's like 1,200 calories or 1,300 calories or whatever that number is, right? You have to eat more than that number. Again, you have to eat more than that number, not less than that number, right? If you are not eating to cover your RMR or your BMR, whatever you want to call it, to cover your basic metabolic rate, right? Your body does not have enough calories to even do the things that it has to do to stay alive, right? So what that number is it's telling you how many calories your body needs to stay alive to complete only essential functions like breathing, right? Like digesting food, stuff like that, that is involuntary, that you don't think about, right? This is how many calories your body takes. A lot of people see that number and they're like, I have to eat less than that, right? If you eat less than that, yes, you will lose weight. However, none of it or very, very little will be actual fat. Most of it will be taken from your musculoskeletal structure because your body does not have enough fuel to even be efficient to burn that fat, right? So your body's going to go automatically to the easiest source, which a lot of the time isn't going to be your fat stores. So you got to be really, really careful in making sure that you're eating enough food, right? So if the calories seem a little high now, fine, not a big deal. There's a method to the madness. Slowly, what we're going to do is we're going to taper your calories down. We are going to do that, right? So week 2 calories are not going to be the same as week 1, at least not for my team. I'm going to slowly taper you guys down, right? So what we did is in our little Fit Body coaching app, there was a little drop down menu, right? And it asks us how many pounds do you want your client to lose per week, right? So we start at the smallest, and then by the end of the challenge, we're going to make that number a little bit bigger, which means your calories will get a little bit smaller, which means that now we're going to want you guys to take a lot more calories from protein as opposed to carbohydrates, right? But we start that later. Right now, we want to keep it simple as possible, right? And to do that, what we do is we give you enough food that we're going to cover your basic metabolic rate, but also keep you at a small, not a large, at a small disadvantage with your calories, right? We want a small disadvantage with your calories, and we want to slowly taper down, right? If we do right now, cut your calories, and like it's not comfortable, and it's not something that you guys can create a habit of at these calories, we're gonna set you up for failure, right? You're gonna lose a bunch of weight in 2-3 weeks, and then you're gonna be like, this is horrible. I can't do this, nor do I want to do this, nor should you want to do it, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. It's got to be a slow, steady process, which is why these 6 weeks, if you're looking at like the next 6 weeks are gonna set you up like for the rest of your life, or you're gonna look great for summer, you're lying to yourself. That's not the way it works, right? We want to make sure that we give you enough calories, that you are eating enough, that we're covering the BMR, and then we want to slowly start tapering down. However, when we taper down, you're still going to have more calories than what your BMR is. You have to, right? So don't get too married to that whole crash diet. I need like 900 calories and I'm going to lose weight. That just doesn't work long term. And it doesn't work for burning fat, which is what we're trying to do here. Does that make sense? All right. So
Was saying though, well,
go for it.
the main part of what I was saying though is for me, like I've always had this pattern of cutting meals out. When I started when I was younger, not eating because I wanted to lose weight. But then as I got older, I realized that wasn't the way to go. But I've always struggled with getting so busy that I forget to eat. So I'm making a conscious effort right now to eat, you know, like I'm saying, okay, it's breakfast, I need to eat, I just worked out, I need to do this, you know, so I'm trying to make conscious effort to eat, because
Yeah,
I could halfway through the day and realize I hadn't eaten yet, and I'm like, okay, and it's just a bad habit that I've gone into.
sure. But now, because you're tracking everything, if you forget to eat and it's, noon, 1 o'clock, well, crap. Now you have all these calories you got to catch up on, right? So it's like, it's
That's
like
the
a
other night.
it's like a reminder, right? It's like, oh crap, I don't want to do this again tomorrow because eating all this food in this condensed amount of time was really hard, right? So keeping track of that stuff, writing down, logging your food, what was I feeling, all that stuff is going to keep you accountable, and it's going to actually make you remember that you have to eat, right? You have to eat. It's counterintuitive, but if you want to burn fat specifically, you have to eat. It just is what it is, right? That's just part of the deal. What else, ladies?
Well, I find it easier to have a schedule. I find it easier for me to eat right when I'm at work or on weekdays when I work, because I have scheduled times that I'm eating. I'm not at home to go open the cupboards and, scrounge through everything or the refrigerator, because I bring all my food, I bring my snacks, I eat my breakfast before I leave to go to work, and then I get home and we have dinner. On the weekends is when I struggle, because I'm watching TV to catch up on all these shows that all of you have been watching and have been talking about how great they are. And I'm like, oh, I need to eat something to stay awake. So that's why I snack. And those quarantine pounds came on with all of that.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie to you, ladies, it's tough right now. It is, right? Normally I'd say suck it up, don't do it, right? But right now the circumstances and the situations are hard, because it's that time all the time, right? At least for a lot of us, right? What do you do to stay away from that though? How do you plan on the weekend when you don't have to plan, right? Does that make sense? You don't have to plan, so how do you plan, right? How do you do that? What do you do? What are some things that we can do to do that? I'm asking. Has got anything? I can help you out. So you plan by planning. You suck it up and you write it down and you do what you're gonna do, like you do on the week, during the week, right? Ladies, if it's on paper, if you don't say, yeah, it's the weekend, I can relax today, it's not a big deal, I don't have to log my food today, or I don't have to really worry about my food, or I don't have to plan my Saturday food on Friday, you're already failed. You already failed, right? You have to treat it like any other day, right? Just it's Saturday is Wednesday, Wednesday is Sunday, it's just another day. My food is already logged, it's already good to go, it's already in here. I'm looking at it and I know that I have 1,500 calories, and I've already input my stuff the day before, even though it's Saturday, even though I did it Friday for Saturday, it's still in there, right? Now, if you want to eat that food and it's Saturday and you're watching that TV show, but now it's like, crap, I got to input that there or I'm going to be lying to myself, right? So one of the two things is going to happen, and either way, you're going to feel bad.
True.
You see what I'm saying? Either way, you're going to feel bad. If you just say screw it and eat it and don't log it, you're going to feel bad. If you ignore what your plan was the day before and you log it anyway, but you ate it anyway, you're still going to feel bad, right? So I'm not trying to say that we want to create feelings that are going to make us feel bad. Definitely not saying that. But we want to create habits and feelings that are going to hold us accountable, right?
Well, and also not to have those foods in your house that are easy to snack on.
And that's a good way, again, that's a good way to keep you accountable, right?
And don't go shopping when you're hungry.
Oh, heck no. Oh, heck no.
It's like the worst.
No, definitely don't do that. All right, I'm going to stop recording here, ladies, as we exchange. Sorry about that. I totally forgot. So let me hit the stop recording button.
That is the worst.